Let's bring in crisis management expert Eric Dezenhall. He's the CEO of Dezenhall Resources. And Eric, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So you see how we are learning more about this. You hear the stories that are coming out, and your take as a crisis management executive is what?
My take is that there is no way that you can separate the escape from the legal strategy going forward. Normally in the corporate defenses I've worked on, there's a lot of nuance. A judge goes before a jury and says, according to Sorkin versus Quick, you cannot prosecute this particular charge, and one by one, something is either knocked off or a jury acquits on it.
Why are Andrew and I suing
I'm
each
not
other?
prosecuting her.
Right.
I'm not prosecuting her.
Well, I
have no
wanted
reason at the moment.
Leave me out of this.
You mean you're unfamiliar with the esteemed case of Sorkin versus Quick? I thought everybody
Sorkin
knew
versus
that one.
Kernan, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorkin versus
different.
Quick is harder.
But here's the thing. The thing is that what this strategy will come down to is an unusual one, which is one of audacity. You could call it the Shawshank defense, which is, yes, I escaped from prison, but I was wrongly accused, and the prison and the prosecution was medieval.
Well, he's basically already said that, hasn't he?
Well, that's right. But it's very difficult after an escape like this to go back to legal nuance. And so what I think you're going to be seeing in his news conference or whatever he does is a very audacious, high concept, swinging hard, very back at this. Now, there's good and bad news here. The bad news is people tend not to be very sympathetic to CEOs. The good news is that there is a real dislike of hyperactive prosecutions. And where I've seen strategies like this work is when you can make the argument that a prosecution was draconian. And his audience here is not the general public. It is prosecutors, it is judges, it is juries. And they have to really understand in a clear way why this prosecution and imprisonment was unholy.
Okay, so there is risk for Carlos Ghosn. There is also risk for the Japanese government. If he is going to come out swinging and saying, look, this is their justice system is unjust. I was never given the opportunity for a fair trial. I was never treated properly, and I was wrongfully charged. What is the risk for Japan on this, and how aggressive are they going to be with going after him and allowing this to continue to stay in the headlines?
Well, the biggest data point that I've seen, and I don't know, I can't verify it, is that 99% of prosecutions like this end up in conviction. That is a very disturbing statistic. And what I would be looking at if I were representing Japan is whether or not that is a true statistic. Because if it is, it's very difficult to make the argument that that is fair. I mean, the average person, even people who don't like CEOs, don't like hearing that 99% of prosecutions end up in convictions and may very well be able to flip the villain here to the victim. And that's what you do in cases like this, where everybody looks at these things, who's the victim, who's the villain. And so Japan is going to have to defend against that.
So what do they do? What's their move?
Their move is they have to show precisely why this is not an unfair system to a defendant. And I don't know what their data points are there.
So basically this entire case is going to be litigated in the media from here out.
Well, to the extent that look, you can't separate a media defense from a legal defense in something high profile like this. This is not something you can do exclusively in a court because judges, I mean, one of the first things that happens when you tell a jury, don't read the internet or the newspaper, is they Google the defendant. And so you're going to see a media strategy here, and it's going to have to be something that is communicated in terms that
Eric,
people understand.
Here's the thing that I don't understand.
Okay.
Ultimately, even if he were to win in the court of public opinion,
right?
So let's just assume he wins in the court of public opinion. It's still going to be very complicated for him to ever, I would imagine, be very hard to leave Lebanon in the future.
I agree with you.
Because once he goes to another country that has extradition, whether he has the public support or not is almost beside the point, because I imagine the Japanese will call whomever the country is that he's in and try to haul him back there. And if you believe justice is fair or not fair, or just the fact, frankly, that he escaped unto itself, I imagine, I haven't even looked into it, how long a sentence that unto itself carries.
Well, the first thing you have to look at when you are an attorney or a crisis manager is what is the best achievable outcome, not is what the best fantasy outcome is. And so in a lot of cases I've worked on, the best achievable outcome is an acquittal. It is not the restoring of a reputation. And so, to me, the best case here is that he is unable to be prosecuted or he is unsuccessfully prosecuted in certain regions. The objective here is not a restoration of his reputation or a return to being CEO of a company.